Hey guys, here we go. Monday Live again. A lot of questions, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of people sounding on me. So we'll deal with those issues.
All right, guys. Welcome back, everybody, to Monday Live. Can I please just request that if you're going to be in the chat, be respectful, or please get off the chat. I'm not going to tolerate disrespect in the chat, and neither is Sammy. So we are going to get started with the questions, any super chats, and any questions from last week. I'll go ahead and get started. Boss, Kenneth Sponberg wants to know, he says, Sammy, since John Gotti broke the rules in having a boss killed without permission from the commission, why didn't the other families keep going after him after DeCicco's murder?
I think they were afraid of us. The hit that took place on Castellano was so ballsy. A lot of them, there was a lot of fear going on. They said, if these guys could do that, bro, they're super dangerous. The fear, I think, protected us in a way.
He also followed up with, why did they let him continue to live and even become a boss since the punishment is death?
Chin Gigante, the Genovese family, put a contract down on him. The guys were planning the hit, and they got pinched. They got caught on tape. The Jersey crew, part of the Genovese family. So, and I mean, there was plans and plots. They just never materialized. John had an army around him all the time. And he had tough guys around him. So it wasn't that easy to make the hit.
Okay, I have a question from Billy Ryan. He said, hi, Sammy. Do you remember the reaction on the street after Sam Giancana and John Roselli testified on the CIA's involvement in the Bay of Pigs? Both were hit soon after. Giancana killed in his kitchen and Roselli was found in a drum in the ocean.
I guess they were putting a lid on what happened. That's what happens sometimes. And the people who were involved get whacked, and they're looking to seal it off. So Sam Giancana was definitely involved, and probably Roselli as well. And maybe they're doing too much talking. I don't know. But they got whacked.
I have Nick Naisho says, Sammy, you met both several times. Was Chin smarter than Paul Castellano? I'm assuming he referred to Paul and Chin. He said, with Chin living in a big townhouse in Manhattan and patrolling the East Village, was it ever said he was actually too center stage?
He was too center stage? No, it really wasn't said about Chin. Obviously, he never overdressed, and he walked around with a robe, playing a crazy act. And most of the time, he was, playing it low key with everything. And was he smarter than Paul? He was more streetwise than Paul. I don't think he was smarter than him, but he was more streetwise. So it's a different balance. It's different personality, different everything. But Paul was a brilliant business guy, and he wasn't a gangster, a thuggerish type of guy. He give out orders to do hits, but I don't know if he's ever done one himself. But where Chin was different.
Okay, Red Man wants to know, Sammy, can you talk about what the day was like when you got made? Like after the ceremony, the first time you were introduced as a friend of ours. Who were you introduced to first as a friend? And how did it feel amongst your friends now as a friend of ours?
That's a great question. I'm going to tell you, the day I got made, I went with Toto's son, Charlie Boy, and Toto, and we went to a house in Brooklyn, guy Frankie DeCicco's house, in the basement. It was really unbelievable. And I knew about it prior to it. And guys knew, and they were waiting in the club for me to come back. When we got back to the club, Tato introduced me to a few guys that were made and were waiting there. And some guys, like Louis Melito was there. He wasn't made, but he knew I wasn't introduced to him, of course, because he wasn't a made guy, but he knew what happened and congratulated, gave me a hug and a kiss. And we knew those things. Johnny Rizzo, I was introduced to. And I never forgot that when Tato asked Johnny Rizzo had a couple of sons. And Louis Melito was under him as well. And he asked Johnny Rizzo, he says, do you have anybody that you want to propose? And Johnny Rizzo said, no. Everybody around me, most of them are scum. And my kids really are not qualified for this life. I was surprised to hear that. And when Johnny Rizzo left, I told Tato, I said, Tato, Louis Melito, I mean, it's not scum. He did work, he did everything for the family, and I don't know. And he said, well, that's not my choice. It's up to him. Louis Melito's with him, and it's up to him. If that's the way he feels that he's not going to propose him, he's not going to get made. And it literally broke my heart. I went back a lot of years with Louis. I did a lot of things with Louis. I thought for sure he was going to become a friend of ours. Sometime after that, Louis Melito came over to me and talking to me about it. How was it? I says, Louis, I'm really not supposed to, took a note that I'm not supposed to talk about this to a guy who's not a friend. I know me, we go back, me and you, a long time, but I'm going to tell you how it was, but I'm really not supposed to. I didn't want to get into conversations with him because one of the questions he says, did they talk about me? And I knew what Johnny Rizzo said. I wasn't about to tell Louis. I know it would break his heart to hear that. So I didn't say anything. A while after that, I went to Tato and I said, Tato, everybody in your crew, made guys or not made guys, basically are with you. The old man Rizzo's with you, and Louis Melito is with him, but basically he's with you too, right? You're the boss. You're our boss. He said yes. So I said, instead of asking Rizzo about making him, why can't you just propose him and make him yourself? He says, it's an interesting thought, Sammy. I could. But, I'm not I don't want to overstep my bounds and do that. That's the way Rizzo is with him, and that's the way he feels. And I have to respect that. I let it go. I think a day later, he called me back and said, Sammy, come here. You think that highly of Louis that you want him to become a friend? Yeah, could I propose him? He said, no, you can't. He's not with you. He's your friend, but he's with Johnny Rizzo. But I thought about what you said, and I could propose him myself and make him. On your recommendation, and I said, Tato, you don't even need my recommendation. All the work I've done and everything I've done for the life, and he's always been with me. So he did that. He proposed him without telling Rizzo anything. And the night that he was going to go, just like I went to get made, he went with Tato to go get made. And I was staying at the club waiting, so when he comes back, I could be one of the first guys he's introduced to. But it takes a while to get made, a couple hours. And I went in my car, I took a ride. I went on the Utrecht Avenue. There was a gay club. Johnny Rizzo's, one of his sons was gay, and he owned this gay club. And Johnny Rizzo was outside with a bunch of guys talking in the street. It's safe over there. There's no agents. I mean, if you're not gay, you're not going to, you'd stick out like a sore thumb. So Johnny Rizzo sometimes had meets over there, and he was there. I passed him up, and I went back to the club. Louis Melito came back, and the first guy he came over to, Todd, and brought him to me. He said, Louis, Sammy's a friend of ours. Sammy, Louis Melito is now a friend of ours. We hugged, we kissed on the cheek. We were both made. I said, now you know the whole ceremony and what you're supposed to say and you're not supposed to admit to, and, you know, even to your best friends, nobody. But I did tell you a lot, but I left some things out because I wanted it to be, you know, different for you. So I said, I just took a ride before you got back here, and I was on Utrecht Avenue. I passed Rizzo's club, and he was outside talking with a bunch of guys. I said, get in the car with me. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to pass by. If he's still out there, I'll park the car, I'll get out, me and you walk over, and I'm going to introduce you to him as a friend of ours. He says he's going to be in shock. I said, I know. I don't want him to put in a beef on Tato that Tato went over his head and did this. I know if I introduce you and he sees the two of us, he knows how dangerous we are. He'll panic. He's not a tough guy. He's a great guy. He's a good guy. He's a made guy, but he's not a tough. He'll panic. He won't know how to act. And I don't think he'll put in a beef against his own skipper and then us involved. I mean, I think that's the way to get it done. He says, all right. And he got in the car with me. When we were driving, he says, Sammy, you're evil. I said, it's not evil, bro. I'm getting you made. You deserve it. You warrant it. And I don't want to I was the one who recommended. He said, Sammy, I heard the whole thing from Tato. What Rizzo said about me and what you did. I know it all. Don't have to explain nothing to me. All right. And we got to the club. There he was on the corner. And I pulled over. And we got out of the car. Side by side, we were walking across the street to get to him. It almost felt like one of those cowboy pictures to me. Walking side by side, walking over to him. And when we got there, Rizzo immediately, I'm a made guy, so he stuck his hand out to me, not to Louis, and shook my hand. Hey, Sammy, how you feeling? Good, good. And you too, Louis, how are you feeling? Good. And I said, John, Louis is a Miga Nostra. He's a friend of ours. No. I mean, his eyes were like silver dollars, wide open. What? I said, Louis is now a friend of ours in our crew under Tato. And I think he didn't know how to act or what to say. So he turned to Louis, grabbed him by the hand, kissed him on the cheek. Congratulations, buddy. Congratulations. And I says, okay, we got a couple of meetings and we're going to go. So we got in the car. And he said, Sammy, did you see his face when you said that? And I said, I was looking right at him, bro. It knocked him for a loop, but he'll be okay. He'll be okay. He'll get over it. And, I mean, now for him to go to Tato and put a beef in to Paul, he's going to put a beef in on me and you. He's not going to want to do that. He's not going to want to have me and you as enemies and his own skipper as an enemy. He'll take it. He needs to sit back and relax. He'll be okay. We're just not going to act bad with him. And whatever he said, that's a secret. And I don't want you to be abusive towards him or do anything, because just bury that. It's gone. It didn't happen. It happened. You're in a good place now. And that's how me and Louis became really like Krieg and Krok. I mean, where you saw one of us, there was always the two of us. And so that's what it was like getting Louis made. where I was, where he went. I knew where he went. He went to the same house. And but then me and Louis had a falling out years later. I was even there when he got killed. I really didn't kill him. I was there because I just didn't want, I know he was going to get killed. I couldn't stop it. I saved him twice. He just got out of order. The third time here, I couldn't stop it no more. John didn't want to hear nothing. And I wanted to be there. I wanted to be there because Louis had balls like an elephant. And that's what he was dying for. His stupidity and his balls. Not because he was a rat, not because he was a piece of shit, nothing like that. So I wanted to be there in a way, it's hard to explain, to protect him. So he shot in the head. No guerrilla fighting or this or that or spitting on him or kicking him when he's down, you piece of shit. No, none of that. He's a man. Let him die like a man. That's the only reason I was there. John didn't put me on there. He took the hit away from me. He wouldn't give it to me, which I didn't want it anyway. All I wanted to do is go there and make sure that he was treated the right way in his death. I know that sounds crazy, and it is crazy. I wish I wasn't there because it wouldn't be on my list. I don't know if that answers your question. I don't even know what the question was anymore. I went into this little tantrum. Every time I think about this thing, it makes me sick. I miss him. I loved him. He was always there with me. We were in Doc's bar one time, and a big guy came in. Me and Louis were shooting pool. And the guy wanted to play pool. And Louis says, yeah, he gave him his stick. You could play with Sammy. So we were playing pool, and the guy got a little nasty. He didn't really know us. So I said, listen, let's stop playing. I don't know you. I don't want to play pool with you. I don't like the way you talk. The guy got a little up, but he was big dude, real big. And Louis Melito immediately grabbed the pool stick, not the thin part, but the thick part towards, that's what he was going to hit him with. And I said, hold up, Louis, hold up. I told the guy, listen, I'm telling you, you have no idea what the fuck you're doing. Get the fuck out of here. I'm telling you. I'm giving you a fucking wound. I'm giving you a fucking break. Turn around and get the fuck out. Put the stick down and get the fuck out of here. And he did. Thank God. We would have killed him. For fucking nothing. Almost nothing. He was out of order. He deserved a beating, but I think we would have killed him. And Louis was so hot. That's how fucking tight we were. When one of us moved, the other one moved. No questions asked. We were together. You were going to get hurt. And that became even worse because my Gumbada Alley boy was really close with me and Louis both. And he was with us too. When guys would see the three of us walking in together into a club, I mean, they would shit. They would think somebody's going to get hurt. That's the kind of fucking reputation we had for a while. My Gumbada Alley boy was with another family, the Genovese family, but we didn't let that bother us. We were tight for years and years. And he was my Gumbada. He was godfather to my daughter. And so that's a little bit about Louis, and I think that answers the question. I don't even remember what the question is, but once I start thinking about these things, it gets to me. So,
Sean the Mark in the Super Chat wants to know, do you think the five families are behind the Joe Columbo hit?
No. I actually know who did what now. I'm thinking about, I know the whole story now. Who did what? Where it came from. People were saying that Joe Gallo, because he was close with the black guys in prison, the guy who shot Joe Columbo was a black guy, so they blamed it on Joe Gallo. Crazy Joe Gallo. I know I was with the Persicos. He reached out and said, listen, I was at war with Joe Columbo. I wish I could take credit for this. I would, but I didn't do this. And it was believed, and other theories came up and stuff like that. I've been working with a few people that I was very close with, still am. One guy, I'm not going to say his name yet, but he was in the Columbo family. He was in prison with me, and he told me some stories and stuff that really rocked me. Now, more stuff is coming out. And I actually know a whole history about it. And it involves Carmine Persico. It involves Scappi. So many guys. I don't want to say, but I got to know now things I knew personally, things that came out from prison. I was with somebody who was very close to the whole situation. And I'm putting it together. I may do a 2, 3, 4-part series on it. I'm talking with a book writer, a guy's an investigative reporter. And he's now talking to me. He says, Sammy, I heard that you know who did what, who's behind the hit and everything else. The guy who shot the black guy shot Joe Columbo, and a mob guy shot the black guy right away, killed him on the spot. Now, I had forgotten his name. His name is Chubby. He was a street guy. He wasn't made. He got made right away after that, but he was a street guy. And he killed him. Listen, here's what's I'm going to give you a little bit. Greg Scarpa, his name is involved in this thing. Carmine Persico's name is involved in this thing. FBI people are involved in this thing. Joe Columbo got hit from different sides, mentally, and when they're talking, I know the whole picture now. So I'm not sure how I'm going to put this out. I know it would be a 2, 3-part series if I put it out. I know somebody wants to write a book, this investigative reporter, and he's called me up today. He says, Sammy, I understand, I heard from someone that you know the actual story, who did what. I said, yeah. He says, how come you never told it? I said, because I knew parts of it, and it didn't fit. Now I know the other parts, everything fits. So I think I know the story exactly, 100% what happened, who ordered it, who did what. When you think about the black guy who did it, he wasn't a smart guy. Now, he had a custom-made camera that fit a gun in it precisely. Exactly. Now, how he did that, I don't know. It's really complicated. It's professional shit. Then he had a pass, a news pass, like he's a reporter. Real credentials. Where did he get these fucking real credentials from? I always wondered about that. I knew about all of that. The guy Chubby who whacked him as soon as he shot the boss, how come other people knew that? I knew it. I didn't remember his name, but I knew what happened. Why didn't this guy get pinched by the feds? There's so many loose ends, so I never really did a story about it or anything like that. But now I'm talking to a guy that I did time with, heavyweight, and he's talking to me now again. So stay tuned for that. Go ahead.
Pizza Dave in the Super Chat wants to know, besides construction and unions, how else did you earn?
I was a loan shark. I lent out money, high rates. Construction was my main thing. I had the Plaza Suite. I had joints. I had pieces of things, different things. Unions, of course. A lot of things. And then I had guys under me. And when I had my crew, all tough guys, good guys. Sometimes I would get a piece of something that I really wasn't doing anything. The envelopes go up. I would get the envelope, I'd take some of it out, and I sent it up too.